Part 35 begins in the charged stillness that follows the hearing, a silence filled with unresolved questions, moral weight, and the unspoken scrutiny of the public and institutions alike. The confrontation between Jasmine Crockett and Pam Bondi has become more than a verbal clash. It has emerged as a study in accountability, where moral responsibility, procedural authority, and historical context collide under intense observation. The presence of Jeffrey Epstein looms large over the discussion, serving as a stark reminder of the consequences of systemic failure, institutional neglect, and the human cost of unacknowledged harm. Crockett's insistence on naming and recognizing survivors forced the human consequences into immediate focus, while Bondi's composed, historically grounded defense highlighted that credibility, legitimacy, and trust require context, precedent, and procedural rigor. The tension between ethical immediacy and structural authority gives this exchange its enduring significance. Crockett's insistence demonstrates that ethical accountability cannot be postponed or treated as symbolic. It must be enacted in real time. By ensuring survivors were explicitly recognized, she underscored the moral dimension of institutional responsibility, forcing observers and participants to confront the human impact of past decisions. Bondi's measured, contextualized responses show that legitimacy also depends on explanation, procedural adherence, and historical clarity. The audience is left to evaluate both dimensions simultaneously, weighing moral authenticity against procedural sufficiency, revealing a core truth. Modern oversight is multidimensional, integrating ethical, legal, and emotional considerations. The Epstein legacy amplifies the stakes, turning a procedural hearing into a moral and institutional test. While the discussion formally addressed past prosecutorial decisions, the deeper narrative highlighted systemic failures, societal inequities, and the consequences of ignoring survivors' experiences. Crockett's insistence ensured acknowledgement could not be sidestepped, placing human experience at the center of accountability. Bondi's procedural framing contextualized historical decisions, reinforcing institutional credibility and public trust. Together, their exchange exemplifies how empathy and structural authority can coexist when navigating morally and historically complex issues. This confrontation also illustrates that accountability is iterative, not instantaneous. Individual hearings rarely produce immediate reform, but they set expectations, shape norms, and influence institutional behavior over time. Crockett's insistence may normalize explicit acknowledgement of survivors as a standard in future proceedings, while Bondi's disciplined defense provides guidance for responsibly explaining historical decisions. Over time, these moments accumulate, creating a culture where moral clarity and procedural rigor coexist, reinforcing both legitimacy and ethical resonance. The tension between moral urgency and procedural composure underscores a central democratic principle. Conflict refines institutions rather than weakens them. Crockett's intensity delivers ethical clarity, moral framing, and immediacy, while Bondi's steadiness preserves authority, structural coherence, and procedural integrity. Observers learn that effective oversight requires both forces to exist simultaneously, demonstrating that neither empathy nor procedure can be sacrificed without consequence. This exchange becomes a practical model for handling ethically charged, legally nuanced scenarios, showcasing accountability's multidimensional nature in action. Responsibility extends beyond those at the dais to the public. Civic engagement, critical reflection, and sustained discourse ensure that hearings like the Crockett-Bondi exchange have enduring cultural and institutional impact. Framed by Epstein's shadow, the hearing serves as a benchmark for acknowledging survivors, defending authority, and communicating with both ethical clarity and procedural rigor. Its lasting influence depends on public insistence that acknowledgement complements procedural fidelity, empathy strengthens authority, and oversight is applied to the highest ethical and procedural standards. The ultimate insight is that justice is holistic, integrating acknowledgement, empathy, and structured authority. The dialogue from this hearing continues to influence societal expectations, institutional norms, and public standards. Transparency, recognition of human experience, and procedural rigor are mutually reinforcing pillars. The Crockett-Bondi exchange exemplifies how democratic institutions function under scrutiny, ensuring that ethical clarity and institutional integrity advance together. leaving a lasting imprint far beyond the immediate controversy.